All right, so It, the 2017 movie, based on the Stephen King novel, remake of the TV special, the miniseries that was in two parts. Well, I reviewed that one already on Monster Madness, which I'll be reposting that review in October, because in October we're gonna be doing all repeats from old Monster Madness episodes that haven't been seen on YouTube for the first time,
and some new
or
ones.
haven't been seen. There's gonna be 5 new ones. Son of Monster Madness, and Sunday Bloody Sundays is going to be every Sunday. So
Monster Madness 11.
Monster Madness 11, yeah, basically, yeah, because I discontinued it as a 31-day marathon to do 31 movies because it was just too much. I explained that last year, but it continues as a 5-day thing right now.
So how is it?
It is pretty good. I like this. I think it might be one of the better horror remakes I've ever seen.
James and I have not discussed this previously, and I'm glad to hear you say what you just said. Is I actually really liked the movie, and usually you and I tend to like the older movies, and then the remakes were like, a lot of times. This is actually a remake that I liked better than the original.
Yeah, which is very unusual. I'm glad you said that, because when I first heard there was an It remake, I was just like, okay, like, Poltergeist remake, they remake everything, so I was just like, all right, well, not a big deal. So, and then it came out, and I started hearing it was, like, really good. I'm like, all right, crap, I got to stop everything and get out to go see this, because I can't even keep up with horror movies nowadays. It's like, it seems like there's always something good that comes out, and I don't always agree. I mean, but the thing is, a lot of times I do. I saw, I don't want to change the subject, but I saw It Comes at Night also. So that's another It movie. I guess you could say I had an It double feature.
Have you seen 30 Days of Night?
No, I heard that one. That's the one with the vampires. But I didn't like It Comes at Night. I could understand anybody who likes it.
I haven't seen that one.
Okay, yeah. It was the one that came out the same weekend as The Mummy. We, of course, saw The Mummy. But I actually don't think either one of those were really good.
Yeah.
Just really quick, not to get off topic, but It Comes at Night, I just felt it was like the most generic survival horror thing with people like... Yeah, so anyway, it came out unexpected. I was just kind of like, oh, wow, like, all right. So otherwise, like, it's like a little bit too... It's actually a little bit too late for Monster Madness, because I already have it, like, the video selected and everything. So this is a bonus video, not scripted.
Okay.
That's why this is a mess. So I just want to say, I just wanted to put that out there, that I was not expecting to do a review of It, but we are. So I'll start talking more about the movie now. It's the novel. I never read the whole novel. It's huge, by the way. It's like a phone book. It's over 1,000 pages, and it's But I do know that I'm pretty sure the novel was set in the 50s. I think when they grow up, they're in the present time, which I guess in the novel was like mid 80s. I guess. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but the movie, this one that just came out, is set in the 80s when they're children, and then I think they're going to do the adult part. They're going to probably set that in the present day, I guess, when they do Chapter 2, which I'm in favor of. I'm in favor that they split this into two things, that they just were... Because the original, the miniseries, it jumps back and forth a lot. This one, it was kind of like, okay, let's just keep it when they're kids, and let's kind of focus on that first. But I also thought, okay, like, wow, like, why is it Stranger Things was the 80s, It's like, why is it kids in the 80s is such a fucking popular thing right now?
You want to know why?
Why?
Why would you think that would be?
I mean, well, a lot of people are just really nostalgic for the 80s.
Because now we are, that's our generation.
Yeah.
Because we're old enough to be like the demographic, and the people making the content now are people like around our age. So it's like they're nostalgic for the 80s, where, back with, I guess, the original, because the original took place in the 50s, right? Because I remember and they very much, they show, like, at one point they show, like, Batman is in the background, and, like, Lethal Weapon 2 are, like, playing. So they're basically telling you, like, this is like 1989 when the movie takes place, in this It that just came out. And what I thought was weird about it, though, is the kids in the movie are going around on old Schwinn bicycles. Like, the main kid in the movie, he's got a Schwinn, and the other kid's got a Schwinn, and it's like, I'm sort of a bike like fanatic. Like
Okay.
I like old bicycles and stuff. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, those are not 80s like bikes. 80s kids went around on like old like BMX like bikes.
They got the bikes wrong.
I don't know that. I think that was just a choice basically
Okay.
because they.
Like it was there, but it was less. Common.
I feel like maybe they were trying to put over that these kids maybe are not very don't have a lot of like maybe their families don't have a lot of money or something, so that so they have like these old hand-me-down kind of bicycles. I guess that's how I saw it. But I just thought it was really out of place that kids in the 80s would have had bicycles from the 1950s, because let me tell you something. You and I grew up in the 80s. When I was a kid, like I loved old bikes, and I used to look at old magazines and stuff. I really, really wanted like an old 1950s Schwinn. You couldn't just get like an old 1950s bicycle. Like they're really expensive to get.
Okay, all right.
So anyway, these kids are going
so
around.
that took you out of it a bit, is what you're saying. Huh?
I mean, it's just no. It was just a little detail, and it didn't. The movie was great, but just something like that, I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't think they would have had those. Anyway, though, yeah. The movie was fantastic, and
so the 80s is popular.
I know. I just went off on a tangent. We're both going off on tangents.
Yeah, personally, I got like all my 80s nostalgia out already. Like I don't know if there's like much left for me. Like it's cool that people are nostalgic for the 80s, but like right now I'm a little more nostalgic for the 90s.
Okay.
Like I kind of moved past it. Now I'm kind of like
you're getting beyond it.
Now I'm remembering the 90s. And now I was like, wow, the 90s was a long time ago now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but.
Okay, I want to say about this movie that, like, it has never been made into a feature film theatrically.
Yeah.
Previously, it was only on television.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
out of all remakes to remake, I think this is a great one to remake because it's never even been a movie, really. I mean, it was a made-for-TV movie, but it wasn't theatrically released.
I could think of a ton of other stuff to remake, like White Zombie. Remake like
there's a ton of things.
But of all these ones that they're doing, like, you know, we don't need to see a remake of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff like that, but it actually turned out to be a pretty good choice.
Yeah, there's no reason to remake Texas Chainsaw Massacre because the original movie is like one of the best horror movies ever.
If it was done perfectly and if there's nothing else different you can do with it, there's no point. This one, it's sort of like they're kind of doing the same thing, but I think they're sticking closer to the book for one thing. I'm not 100% sure. But they're also sort of just perfecting whatever went wrong with the original. And nothing against the miniseries. I think the miniseries, for a TV-made movie, I think it did what it was supposed to do.
I really enjoyed the first part of the original miniseries with the kids. It was good. But, yeah, like I said, this is one of the rare times when the new ones, I actually liked it a lot better. Yeah.
And I'm not even saying that this one is like a great movie, but I just found it very appealing. It was just like very, it's like the weather just started to get a little cool, and it started to feel like, oh, it's like fall's coming, and then this horror movie comes out. I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I haven't watched a horror movie in a long time. It just kind of hit me at the right time. It was like I really got into it, and I really enjoyed. Like the horror tropes in it. Like, even though it didn't do anything special, I just loved that there was a haunted house in the movie. And it's like, and that brings me to one thing I wanted to talk about. The only thing that sort of went
It looked like
wrong,
the Monsters house.
Yeah, I have some stuff to say about the Monsters house, but we'll talk about that later. Probably in a couple months, because the schedule is booked. But just nothing that big. It's just a little something. But anyway, it was sort of like all over the place with like, it didn't stick with one mood. It was kind of just like a bunch of different types of movies thrown together, which is fine. I enjoyed that, but it didn't really know exactly what it was trying to be, and maybe that's because the book might be that way. You're not sure, but basically they have this like coming of age type of thing, you know, like Stand By Me, which is also Stephen King.
Reminded me a little of that, right?
Yeah, which makes sense, you know, it's coming from the same author and everything, but it has this like coming of age thing with these kids, and then they just drop this haunted house into it, which it's not just like, oh, it's some dilapidated house, it's like haunted house. Like it's got like the cobwebs and the sofa, you know, with They always have that like torn up sofa.
I felt it was very deliberate. It's like, hey, this movie's coming like right around October time. Here's your haunted house, like evil clown movie.
Yeah. Now I like that. I like when I saw the haunted house, I was like, yeah, that's what's up. Like I like that old school kind of horror, but it had that. It has this clown, which is you have this coming of age thing with these like these very real situations. Like you have these bullies, and then you have this like pervert dad. That dad was really scary. But then you have this funny clown, and even though he's not as funny as Tim Curry, it's still kind of like he's a. I mean, I wouldn't say serious, but it's sort of, they went for the scary.
He's different.
Yeah, like I think he is a little scarier, but there's like still like there was at least one laugh out loud moment for me, which was when I think they were either in that like sewer at the end, or it was like when they I mean, I think it's no surprise that it lives in like the sewer. But there's like the part where he's in like the basement of the house, I think, before that, and then like this furnace comes on, and like all of a sudden like all this horror stuff is popping up, like it's this big thing, and then the clown just shows up, and then he starts just like kicking his legs to the side like that. It's just like it totally broke the mood.
I think he was in the sewer at that point with the girl. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I said everything I want to say. It's just tonally it was all over the place. So it's not a very consistent movie, but I think it was done really well. It was totally enjoyable. The kids were really good. The acting was great. There was a little bit too many kids, actually, I think, because you couldn't really follow each of them.
One thing that I did have a problem with the kids, actually, and the kids were all pretty much great, except they had the one kid who was like always like the wise ass kid, and some of the stuff that he was saying, he reminded me of a kid from 2017, not a kid that would have been in the 80s. Yeah, like he was a little bit too like I don't even want to repeat some of the things he was saying, but like it was too far. Like some of the things he was saying, like a kid in the 80s wouldn't have been saying that stuff. Yeah. And it was a little bit too far, and I think that they could have toned him down a little bit. Yeah, like maybe if he was a few years older, then maybe would have picked up a lot of that like lingo, not just that. I agree with that, but the fact that like in the 1980s, some of the things that he was saying, I don't think like 80s kids like really knew that. Maybe now with the internet and everything, but in 1989, I don't think kids acted like that. So that kid kind of bothered me a little bit. Yeah. But anyway, that's kind of a little nitpick because overall, I thought the movie was pretty. It wasn't perfect or anything, but it was definitely a good movie. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I liked it better than the original film. I haven't read the book, but yeah, definitely worth seeing. Yeah, definitely.